This is a video on installing a drop link, Soupy's drop link on this Triumph Street Triple. Basically, one of the hardest things about the drop link install is just getting this thing off the ground. There's no jack points under these bikes. Basically, the engine's just hanging off the frame, so there's no jack points under here, and you got to get unload the rear suspension. So I have this A-frame that I've used for pulling some other stuff, and basically got this thing jacked off the ground. You just have to remove a few things here. There's a reservoir tank and just a little guard. There are just a couple bolts you remove underneath here to get at the link. On the other side, I had to remove the exhaust, which is just 2 bolts. Thing comes right off, pretty easy. They're 14 mils, and there's a hex on there that's a 8 mil. Basically, you just remove the previous link in here, which was a combination of me jacking up the rear tire, this is while it's off the ground, and putting pressure on the links here to take so I get the bolts out. And then I put this thing back in, put some red Loctite on it, torque both of these to 60 foot-pounds. You're supposed to leave this thing at the stock length when you put it on, and then you undo the bolts to do it. So the instructions for this were terrible online, but basically this one undoes properly, like left hand, but this one is reverse thread. So these are bolts coming in from different angles. So I'm turning this thing, it won't go. I don't understand. You turn this one's left, and then this one is left the other way. So these are reverse. So when you're cranking on it from the other side, this one's normal, that one's not. And then basically you undo these nuts and then thread the body out. And both of these bolts start to go out, which then pushes the link up, lowers this thing. There's a guide on how far you can lower this from eye to eye, what the maximum link is, because you don't want too much thread sticking out. This one is 7 inches on the Triumph. I have it at like 6.5, 6 3/4 to leave a little extra thread in there. And I've locked these down. And that's basically it. Put the stuff back on, go out and drive this thing. This bike is, I got a 32-inch inseam, and I touch flat with my legs almost locked. The owner of this bike, I think it's about 5'4". I don't even know how she drove this thing without the link on it. But anywho, that's all you need to know. Take off a few things, get this thing up in the air, 60 foot-pounds. Make sure you Loctite it, of course. You don't want that thing coming off. Reassemble, you're lowered. Woo!